Do you want to look and perform like the Red Hood, aka Jason Todd, but you don't have 10 plus hours a week to spend in the gym? Well, good news, because 3 new scientific studies have just come out that help me crack the code to building a superhero body in less than 4 hours per week, and without having to make your whole personality centered around chicken breasts, barbells, and oily men in Speedos. I'll be giving you the full program at the end of the video, but if you're going to get real results from it, you first need to understand how it works. This program uses 2 stupidly simple but unique training techniques that are rarely ever used correctly in the gym that will cut your training time in half, while also dramatically increasing how effective each of your reps are for building Red Hood levels of muscle and strength. Speaking of which, I've designed this program specially to help you develop the 2 main physical traits that make the Red Hood so badass and formidable. Of course, the first trait I'm talking about is his ripped physique. Jason Todd has a lean, athletic build with very broad, well-developed shoulders, huge traps, and a big back. In terms of size, he falls right between Batman and Nightwing. He's not as much of a tank as Bruce, but he also packs a bit more punch than Dick. But like my girlfriend keeps trying to tell me, size isn't the only thing that matters, and it also isn't the only thing that sets the Red Hood apart from someone like Batman. Their training styles are also very different. See, Batman's fighting style is fundamentally different from the Red Hood's due to his focus on non-lethal methods and control. He uses his larger size to intimidate and subdue his enemies, using holds and locks to immobilize them without causing harm, and this aligns with his ethos to preserve life. But as anyone who has ever played a stealth video game knows all too well, harmlessly knocking someone out is a lot more work than just respectfully placing a metal object directly into their cranial cavity and sending them to meet the big man in the sky. And the Red Hood is all about ruthless efficiency, finding the path of least resistance to his goals, even if that path ends up covered in bloody footprints. In contrast to Batman's Paragon tactics, the Red Hood adopts a much more aggressive renegade approach, incorporating lethal force and weaponry, significantly breaking away from Batman's principles that were taught to him during his time as Robin. While Batman uses his imposing presence and martial arts expertise to control and de-escalate conflicts, the Red Hood is more direct, using his combat skills to neutralize threats swiftly and decisively, often crossing lines Batman would not. Because the Red Hood uses so many force multipliers, like bladed weapons, explosives, and firearms, he doesn't need to rely on his physical size and muscle as much as Batman, meaning he can afford to stay at a slightly lower body weight, allowing him to remain more agile and keep his endurance very high, which leads us straight into the second physical trait that my Red Hood training program focuses on developing. That is explosive power and bone-crushing strength. Since the Red Hood doesn't hold himself back, stressing about silly little things like cold-blooded murder, he uses weapons that favor speed and quick bursts of power to get the job done. That's why his training in this program is geared towards enhancing one's ability to deliver high-intensity explosive power when it counts. So I've designed the Red Hood training plan to allow you to not only build his type of jacked, lean, athletic physique, but also so you can move explosively and aggressively like an athlete. And the best part is that I've used a specific training technique that makes it possible to get these workouts done much faster than a conventional bodybuilding workout. But before I give you all my secrets, I need to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, SuperX. SuperX is where pop culture meets activewear. They make officially licensed apparel with huge brands like Marvel, Power Rangers, and Assassin's Creed. They just launched this insanely sick Assassin's Creed line, and they've got a full line dropping for the upcoming movie Deadpool and Wolverine, plus a full Avengers line coming later this year. You don't want to miss this. And their activewear doesn't just look badass, it's also insanely comfortable and made with super stretch fabric that lets you move around unrestricted. Now click the link down below to check them out, and while you're at the site, make sure to get on their email list so you don't miss out on any of these upcoming drops because they sell out fast. And when you're ready to buy, use code Demers for a discount and so that they know I sent you. Now let's talk about the program. The Red Hood program is a 4-day-a-week, 8-week functional bodybuilding plan. And as you might know, if you're a fan of the Red Hood, the life of a ruthless vigilante is a busy one. Between cleaning blood off your boots, taking your surrogate daddy issues out on some practice dummies, and taking a skinny dip in the Lazarus pool, there isn't a ton of time left to train. And that's why I've designed the Red Hood program using a PHA training formula that makes it as time efficient as possible. PHA training, or peripheral hard action training, is a form of training where you perform your exercises in upper-lower supersets. For example, just like how the Red Hood might go straight from punching somebody's skull in to curb stomping his buddy, you would perform a set of dumbbell presses and then without resting, immediately do a set of kettlebell swings. After that, you would take a short break of 60 to 90 seconds to catch your breath before repeating the cycle until you've completed all your sets. Training this way allows us to use our time in the gym more efficiently than the typical gym bro approach. Instead of hitting chest and then sitting around for 2 minutes drooling over videos of Sam Sulek's freaky pumps while waiting for a chest to recover, we can transition straight from a chest exercise to a lower body exercise. Our legs are fresh, so we can work them while our chest recovers. Then by the time we finish the lower body set, and then we can keep it up without wasting any time. Now some of you might be thinking meaning that performing exercises in the form of supersets might make them less efficient for stimulating muscle growth than if you did them separately. But a study just came out called Less Time, More Gains, and it shows that performing bodybuilding movements in supersets are just as good for building muscle as performing them in solo straight sets. But we won't just be saving time by doing supersets and limiting rest times. It'll also turn our weightlifting training sessions into amazing cardio training workouts as well, killing two robins with one stone. Of course, training your cardiovascular system is crucial if you want to become like the Red Hood and have the endurance to keep up the attack until all of your enemies have been taken down. But all that conditioning is going to be meaningless if your strikes are more flaccid than Batman when he's talking to a woman who hasn't tried to end his life. So we're going to develop Red Hood levels of deadly strength and explosive power by simply changing the speed at which we perform our reps. Thanks to this recent meta-analysis, we know that performing the concentric or muscle shortening portion of a movement quickly and with explosive intent will maximize neural drive and muscle motor unit recruitment, in turn leading to faster rates of strength development. Okay, now let me take my glasses off and explain that like I'm not a master yapper nerd. If we perform the positive part of a movement very quickly, it'll force our brains to use more of our available muscle fibers to move the weight than if we're moving the same weight at a slower speed. And as we do this over and over again, it'll make our brains better and better at using a higher percentage of our muscles, resulting in us getting stronger faster than if you performed the same movements at a slower pace. While the concentric or positive portion of a lift has been found to be less important for building muscle than the eccentric or negative portion, which we'll be talking about in a second, this increase in strength from performing your concentrics explosively will allow you to lift heavier weights over time, which means you'll be able to produce more mechanical tension in the working muscles. And since mechanical tension is the main driver of muscle growth, just like ferociously gooning to photos of Catwoman, this technique will somewhat indirectly lead to better muscle growth gains over time. Of course, you're not here to fuck around. You're here to find out the secret sauce for directly building muscle. And luckily, the secret sauce I got for you isn't the kind that'll make you grow breast tissue and go bald at 22. The key to making each of your reps as efficient as possible at stimulating muscle growth is a deep range of motion. Thanks to this meta-analysis and systematic review by Dr. Milo Wolf and colleagues, we know that when you train your muscles at their longer lengths, it leads to more muscle growth than when you train your muscles at their shorter lengths. So for example, you'll build more muscle per rep on the squat by going all the way down ass to grass than if you did half squats, because it's at the bottom of the squat that the quads, hamstrings, and glutes are at their longest, most lengthened, and stretched out. So to maximize both strength development and muscle growth, as you're following this program, you're going to want to perform the eccentric or negative portion of each movement with control, ensuring you're training the working muscles in their most lengthened positions. And then you're going to perform the concentrics or positive portions of each movement quickly and explosively to maximize strength gains. Now it's important to note that if you're new to training at long muscle lengths and getting a good stretch while lifting, you should start off by performing your positives or concentrics at a more controlled speed, and then over time increasing the speed and intensity of your concentrics. This will give your body a chance to get used to the increased forces created by this type of training, and thus decreasing your odds of getting snapped the fuck up, or aka injured, over time. This program works great whether your goal is to lose fat, build muscle, or do both at the same time. I've included some diet guidelines on screen here for you guys to follow while you're running this program. You can pause the video to check them out. The 8-week Red Hood training plan is now available on the training app BoostCamp. Just click the link down below, download the app, and then search for Red Hood or Demers to find it and get started. For the first 2 weeks after launch, the program will be available to BoostCamp Pro members only. And then after that, it'll be free for everyone forever. But when you sign up for BoostCamp, make sure to use referral code Demers. They'll get you a free 2-week trial of BoostCamp Pro, so you can get free access to the program right away and forever. Now, if you're having a hard time losing fat and getting ripped, and you hate the idea of tracking calories, then you need to watch my video about the 3 simple diet principles that make losing fat without diet tracking simple and easy. I'll see you there.